You've probably heard the stats on holiday weight gain from Thanksgiving to New Year's. But today, I'm going to skip the scare tactics. Instead, let's talk about some simple habits you can add to your routine that'll help you avoid the weight gain while keeping you healthy, energized, and fully enjoying the entire holiday season. No deprivation required. Welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast, where we provide education and inspiration to help guide you on your journey to look better, feel better, and most importantly, heal better. Hello, and welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Kevin Schultz, and today we're going to go over 10 tips on how to stay healthy during the holiday season from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's. The intent of the podcast today is to give you simple and actionable tools that I promise really are simple and doable and not overwhelming. And guess what? You probably aren't going to love all of the tips, and that's okay. Just incorporate what you can. Anything is better than nothing. Be sure to stick around to the end, where I'll give you my family's favorite simple holiday nutrition tips and snacks. So before we jump into the meat of the show today, I want to share a recent review I received. This one comes from Paul. Paul says, I just wanted to let you know that I shared your daily routine episode with my 31-year-old nephew. He recently started fasting, getting his life together. He made a decision to create a healing room in his basement for his 1-year-old son, his wife, and himself. So after I received that review, I shared it with my wife, and I literally started tearing up. This is why I do what I do. So thank you, Paul. And if you have a testimony or a review to share yourself, would you please leave that 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform? That not only inspires me, but also helps us climb up the podcast ranks so others just like Paul and his nephew can find our podcast, and then we can reach and help more people. Okay, let's jump into the show. Tip number 1 for having a healthier holiday season while still indulging is be intentional with yourself and your kids and set yourself up for success. With every one of the tips that I discussed today, it is going to require intention without a doubt. What does that even mean, you might ask? Well, I'll give you a real life example for me and my family. As you might imagine, we live a healthy lifestyle, and my kids are fully on board with that, and they honestly love it. But I promise you, if we show up at a holiday party and we have zero game plan going into that and zero thought and zero discussion ahead of time, things are just not going to go as well as when we have a plan and we put thought into it and we have a discussion, not only between Sarah and I, but also with our kids. So before we leave for a party or while we're in the car or both, we have a full discussion of what our intentions are. Now, obviously, I don't get to decide what your intentions are, but for my family, we remind the kids that there's not free reign on sweets and treats. They have to earn their treats by eating some healthy food first, and then after they eat their healthy food, they know they need to ask us for permission and can't just load up on a plate of sweets. And guess what? Our kids are okay with this because we've had this discussion. And when they eat really well, even on a regular basis, they know that at times there are a reward for that. And so my kids, because they eat really well on a regular basis, they recognize how they feel when they don't eat well, and they don't like it at all. So it is a very easy discussion. And this is where intention comes in. And I understand not everybody's at that point right now. But even if it's not setting that intention for this holiday season, it's building towards that foundation in the future so that in a future holiday season, that discussion makes so much more sense for you and your kids if you have them. So my kids know that if they go to a friend's house or a relative's house and they eat too much ice cream, for instance, or too much sugar, they get sick and they don't like feeling and being sick. For Sarah and I, we remind each other to be interested and not interesting, which just means that we listen more and we talk less. We talk about what time we're going to leave the party ahead of time so we can stay on a semi-normal bedtime routine to keep everyone rested so we are happy and healthy throughout the entire holiday season. We remind the kids to make a point of talking to everyone and to give hugs and to shake hands and always make eye contact with people and to say their names. We remind them of the importance of complimenting people and listening to people and asking questions instead of just talking. We get a lot of compliments on our kids, and the reason is because we choose to parent intentionally, whether it is the holiday season or not. So I could go on, but I think you get the idea. We focus on putting intention behind everything that we do, and especially when it comes to the holidays where things tend to fall apart if you don't have thought and intention behind it. Tip number 2, unplug. Holidays are for being social, not for being on social media. Have a cell phone discussion, set some boundaries with your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, yourself, and then be sure that you lead by example. Don't tell your kids they can't be on the cell phone, and then you're on the cell phone the entire holiday party. So what fun is it to go to a social gathering and then have everyone sitting on the couch staring down at their phone? I've been at those, and they're not very fun. It's awkward, and to me, it's really sad to just see how we've lost that connection. So don't let that happen to your family. If it's already happened, that's where intention comes in. That's where having a discussion ahead of time comes in. Get up, move around, talk to people, put intention behind this as well. When is the last time you actually connected with your nephew or your aunt? Ask them, how are you doing? How is work? How is school going? How's life going? Have intentional, meaningful conversations and discussions instead of walking around showing people your latest meme that you think is hilarious or the videos on your phone. Tip number 3, stick with your routine as much as possible. So this can definitely be tricky during the busy holiday season, as everybody knows, but it's so important to focus on this because if you get too far off track, it takes forever to get back on track. And I can tell you on a regular basis, I have these discussions with people at the beginning of the year. Like the holidays just threw me off my workout routine. They threw me off my nutrition routine. And now we're in January, February, March, April sometimes, and they still haven't gotten back on track. In fact, I talked to somebody the other day that said COVID threw him off his routine 5 years ago, and he still hasn't gotten back on track. So don't let that happen to you. And if you have intention, that is where you're going to have a better chance of staying on track with whatever it is, whether it's a workout routine or a nutrition plan or anything else for that matter. Nutridyne is my number one choice for the vast majority of my family supplements. I'm a huge fan of nearly everyone taking what I call the foundational 4 supplements: a multivitamin, a spore-based probiotic, omega-3 fish oil, and vitamin D3 with K2. The large majority of people are deficient in many of these nutrients, and they are the building blocks to gut health, immune system strength, brain health, heart health, and every other aspect of your health. Don't fall into the trap of chasing symptoms with supplements and instead start to rebuild your health with the foundational 4. We partnered with Nutridyne so that you can save 15% on every order, and not just with the foundational 4, but all of your other supplements as well. Go to foundationalhealth365.com, click on Shop Brands, and then Nutridyne, set up your account, and you're all set to automatically get 15% off all orders. Now let's get back to the Foundational Health Podcast. Tip number 4, focus on sleep. Sleep is where your body heals and recovers. 80% of all healing takes place during the deep stages of sleep, according to many studies. And then the lack of sleep not only increases your chance of getting sick, but it also leads to decreased energy, decreased focus, decreased happiness, decreased patience with your spouse, with your kids, with other people. And the holidays especially are when you need more of all of that. So really focus on your sleep. Try not to get out of a sleep routine. This is why we do have an intentional discussion before we go to a holiday party. Like, hey, when are we planning on leaving? How are we going to do that? We let people know ahead of time, like, hey, we probably are going to scoot out at 9 o'clock because we don't want to get off our normal sleep routine because then it throws everything else off from there. Tip number 5, look for opportunities to move. See who's up for a post-meal walk. Be the leader. Even talk about that ahead of time. Like, hey, I was thinking this year maybe we could start a new routine or start a new tradition with our family. Plan some games. So for my family, not that this is a crazy active game, but always after the meal, we go into the garage. Typically where we live, it's pretty cold outside, so we don't play cornhole, or we call it beanbag toss outside, but we do that in the garage. So pick a game, pick a few games, plan those ahead of time where you can be up and moving and engaging and interactive. So whether they're active games or not, it's better than turning on the TV. It's better than turning on the phone. And I know so many holiday parties are planned around Packer games or football games or other sporting events, which is perfectly fine. Just put that on in the background. Don't have that as the main attraction. Instead, do some games. Anybody that wants to watch the game, they've still got it on there. Tip number 6, stay hydrated. This does so many good things for you, always, of course, but that is magnified during the holiday season. Getting enough water in your body gives you energy, and it will reduce the chance of overeating for sure. When you have more water, you want to eat less food. So that's not necessarily something I recommend on a regular basis, but when it comes to planning around holidays and not overindulging, then drinking extra water certainly helps tremendously with that. Also, when it comes to hydration, reduce sugary drink intake as much as possible, especially alcoholic drinks, but also non-alcoholic drinks. So notice I didn't say don't have them, not taking all the fun out of the holidays by any means. This is just where intention comes in. So make an agreement with yourself ahead of time that you're limiting yourself to one brandy slush or whatever sugar-filled drink you love, or maybe having 2 of those, but not just having one after another, because those sugary filled drinks are not only loaded with extra calories, but they make you feel awful typically. At least for me, they always did in the past. They drain your energy, they screw up your sleep patterns, and then they increase your hangover, which nobody wants. So enjoy 1 or 2 and then switch to something different. And then for kids, something that my family does, if you want to avoid horrible conventional soda, which really my kids have never had, but they do ask for it at holiday parties if we're not intentional about this because other kids are drinking it. So we bring along some Zevia or some juice boxes. So they might not be perfect by any means, and it's not something our kids do on a regular basis, but they are much better than a can of Coke or Mountain Dew. Okay, that sound means it's time for our random recommendation. Is your toothpaste poisoning you and disrupting your gut microbiome? If your answer is, I don't know, it probably is. So my recommendation is switch to a toothpaste called Fig, F-Y-G-G, which stands for Feed Your Good Guys. You can find this on our website. You can find it on Amazon or probably directly from the Fig website. If you switch to Fig, your mouth and your gut will thank you for it. Tip number 7, reduce stress. This is probably the biggest thing, and I find it so sad. I have these discussions in my office with my patients on a regular basis on when I ask, like, what do you have coming up for Thanksgiving? What do you got coming up for Christmas? You got any parties this weekend? And almost always the response is something to do with, I'm so sick of the parties. I'm so stressed out. So focus on reducing stress. My recommendations for that are focus on the big picture and realize that it doesn't matter if you don't have the perfect food. It doesn't matter if you don't have the perfect gift, the perfect outfit. Nobody's going to remember that stuff anyway. They are going to remember you and having engaging, meaningful conversations with you, or the fun games or activities, or like my family does every year as a tradition, we have Christmas sing-alongs where we all gather around the tree and we sing songs. And I know it sounds cheesy, and it is, and we're awful singers, but we absolutely love it. It's our family tradition. We do it every year. My mom, my sister-in-law do a great job of also printing off some games on paper ahead of time. So everybody's gathered around, everybody's participating in this, and it's fun. Those are the things that people remember. You don't have to stress about making that holiday party perfect or bringing the perfect food. Focus on having meaningful conversations and meaningful times with your family. So be intentional about not allowing yourself to stress over the little things and then focus on that big picture. Also, can't recommend this enough. Avoid gossip and negative conversation. I'm sure it happens with every family. So you don't have to be rude about this, but look for opportunities to change the subject or to remove yourself from those conversations. Have you ever noticed, and I'm sure you have, that when someone shares a story about some jerk that cut them off in traffic that morning or something else negative that happened in their life, which people love to do for some reason, that leads to a cascade of stories of everyone being the one-upper and sharing their negative driving experience or their negative boss experience or whatever it is. There's actually a medical term in the psychiatry world for that called negative emotional contagion, also known as misery loves company. So choose to not be a part of that. And that really does require intention because it is a true phenomenon. It is contagious. Once you start to recognize it, you'll see it. And then you also realize, like, man, I just don't want to be a part of this. So choose not to be a part of that ahead of time, and certainly don't start that negativity. Tip number 8, never show up hungry. If you've listened to any of my nutritional podcasts, you know that one of my nutritional guidelines that I talk about is never shop hungry. So along those same lines, when it comes to the holidays or any party or get together for that matter, my family rule is never show up hungry. So if we're going to a party where we're bringing snacks, then that one is easy. But if we're going to a party where bringing snacks aren't an option, then eating a protein-rich snack along with some fruits and veggies before the party is a great idea so that you're not overindulging on those bad foods. And then if bringing food is an option, just make sure you want to be healthier, which I'm hoping you do, then bring healthy foods and you eat them first so you don't overeat the unhealthy foods. Tip number 9, did you know there's a 15 to 20 minute window for your brain to tell you that you are full? So because of that, it is a great idea always, but especially during the holidays, before going back for that second or that third plate, to wait a little bit to see if you're actually still hungry. This is also a great time to drink some extra water as well. And what most people find is when you do wait that 15 to 20 minutes, instead of just saying, that was amazing, I'm going back for more right away, that all of a sudden you feel hungry, or you feel full rather, you lose that hunger feeling and you don't want to go back for at least as much. So by no means am I saying don't indulge. I'm just saying don't overindulge. Don't beat yourself up if you do, but don't overindulge to the point where you make yourself miserable and all you want to do is lay on the couch and fall asleep while you're watching football and you can't enjoy the party and you can't enjoy socializing. Last but not least, tip number 10. So, as I promised in the beginning, these are the Schultz family's favorite holiday party food go-tos. So, these are all things that we have when we're hosting, certainly, but then also they are our go-tos when we're going to a party where bringing food is an option. First of all, I talk about focusing on protein all the time, and that is the number one thing that we do when we go to a party. So my wife makes something called angel eggs. They're actually deviled eggs, just made a little bit healthier, and she doesn't like using the term deviled. So she calls them angel eggs. So it's really very, very similar to a deviled egg. It's just instead of Miracle Whip, we'll use like Primal Kitchen, avocado oil, mayonnaise, or other healthy things in there. And then when I make them, I decorate them up a little bit and I'll put some hot sauce on them or an avocado slice on the top or a little slice of bacon, something that makes them even better. And then grass-fed meatballs. That's another thing that we will have at a party or we bring along. So we know we have a healthy protein option. We also love doing hot beefs or sloppy joes. Barbecues is what we call them in our family for some reason. Every party we go to, we bring Mary's Gone crackers. If you haven't heard of these are seed crackers. They're, in my opinion, probably the healthiest cracker on the market. They have multiple flavors. They're actually, I think, really good. My kids actually like them as well. So we bring those to every party. That way you can try dips, but you're not doing all of the chips over and over, and you get a much healthier option. Boulder chips are something that we bring to almost every party for our kids, so they have an option with having a chip instead of diving into the bag of Doritos or the Cheetos that are inevitably there. They can load their plate up with Boulder chips, and we let them certainly have extra during the holidays as well. And if you've never had Boulder chips, they are a healthier version of a potato chip, and they're pretty fantastic, actually. And then we bring things like guacamole or hummus. If you make those on your own, as opposed to buying them in the store, then you're going to avoid toxic seed oils and other additives. So we always make our own guacamole. We do it crazy simple. So all of our nutrition is really simple. With our guacamole, we're just cubing up some avocados. We often don't even smash it up. We like more the cubes. And then we just throw in a jar of our homemade salsa, and that's really it. So that is our guacamole. And then we don't make hummus as often, but when we do, that also is done without seed oils, without additives, of course, because we're making it on our own. Trail mix is another popular one that we bring. We love making our own trail mix with just raw organic nuts and seeds. And then we throw in raisins, add a little sea salt. The sea salt sticks to the raisins, absolutely tastes amazing. So that's a good appetizer to bring along as well. Fruit bowls. My wife makes an amazing fruit bowl. You can throw anything and everything into there, cut up whatever you want, and the longer that sits, typically, the better all of those flavors meld together. That one's always a huge hit. And then also fruit and veggie trays with slices of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, potentially the healthiest cheese on the planet. And the great news is you can buy it at Costco. So you can get the blocks of that cheese. You can get shredded cheese. Really good thing to add to your holiday fruit and veggie trays, as well as the cracker and cheese trays. Ants on a log. It's one of my kids' favorites. So we just do ants on a log a little bit different we use almond butter. So we use an organic almond butter. We use organic raisins, and then we add sea salt to the top of that. One of my favorites, and potentially my favorite healthy snack, is Granny Smith apple slices, and then a slice of avocado and a slice of the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, and then you just put a toothpick down through that. Little sea salt on the top of it, and that is absolutely amazing. And I would say, without a doubt, my favorite healthy snack, whether I'm at a holiday party or just on a regular basis. As I've mentioned before, we don't do anything fancy when it comes to nutrition, which is shocking to a lot of people. So we're not recipe people. We don't follow any extravagant plans. But if you are the type of person that is looking for those meal recipes, Dr. Axe's website, he's got, and we'll put a link to this in the show notes, but he's got 30 fast and easy, healthy holiday recipes. And some of them admittedly look pretty fantastic. The inspirational and educational takeaways from today. Knowledge without action is powerless. So the actionable takeaways from today's podcast. Number one, make a game plan for at least yourself or your family on how to make the holidays more intentional and more successful so that you can feel better and enjoy the holidays more. That's really what this is all about. It's not about like, hey, I need to be healthy during the holidays. When you're not healthy, you don't feel good. You have a tendency to get sick during the cold and flu season. So really all this is about is trying to up the odds of feeling good and staying healthy during the holidays. So make a game plan around that, at least for yourself again, and then also if you have kids, doing it with your kids as well. Number 2 is unplug. Have real, meaningful conversations and put the cell phones down. Number 3, never show up hungry. I know it sounds silly to eat before a party, but it's a game changer, at least for us. Success equals simple habits performed consistently over time. If you focus on your foundation consistently, you will not get caught up chasing symptoms with prescriptions or supplements. Take the foundational 4 supplements, eat whole food, don't count calories, drink half your ideal body weight in purified filtered water, or sip it, don't gulp it. Move as much as you can each and every day and build workouts and walks into your routine so you don't miss them. Make sleep an absolute priority every single day and be intentional with every aspect of your life because you are a leader. Lead by example. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it beneficial, I want you to think about who needs to hear this message. Be a leader for them. Drop them a text and tell them to check out the Foundational Health Podcast with Dr. Kevin Schultz on how to make the holidays healthier. Until next time, make health your hobby. Thank you for listening to the Foundational Health Podcast. As always, if you would like to learn more about making health your hobby, visit our website at foundationalhealth365.com and follow me on Facebook at Kevin Schultz DC Foundational Health.